Hey y'all, it's Grizz here at Windmill Farm. Some folks have been asking about my leatherwork and showing some basic stuff that I do with my leatherwork, and I'm here in my shop. One of the things that a lot of young people in the leatherworking don't understand is when you get ready to sew, you got to lock your needle in. Now, what I mean by that is all I'm going to do is I'm going to put this, thread this through the needle first, okay? And at my age and that little bitty thing, it's easier said than done sometimes. All right, once you get it through, I'm going to try to get up here to camera where you can see it. Once you get it through, what I mean by locking the needle in is you're going to bring a tail back up, and then you're going to try to get your needle to go through the thread, okay? And the reason that we're going to do that is I'll show you in a minute. It will lock this needle in. And it ain't as easy as it, especially with the smaller threads. Some of the bigger threads I've got, it's a little bit easier. But when I'm doing these small projects and I'm doing the thinner threads and blunt needles, they don't want to go through things as well as they should. Alrighty, now see how that needle pierced? I'm trying to get it in focus here for y'all people. All right, see how that needle pierced the thread? Okay, what you want to do is take your thread, pull it all the way down to the eye, and then take that tail and pull down over the edge. Okay, now when you pull down, what happens now is that needle is locked onto that thread, so that as you're pulling through and sewing, you don't pull your needle off, and you ain't got a big knot or anything right here. This is actually that's a smaller diameter than the needle itself. Okay, so that's a way to lock it on. Then when you're actually sewing, when I get down here to the very end, I'll show you how I actually keep it from being on the outside of my product. But when you're sewing, best thing you can do is just go ahead and get your needles equal length, like so. Drop one needle and start your sewing with one needle. Go in and out one hole. All right. Let me sew a couple of these up and we'll be right back, all right? Alrighty, y'all. I've stitched up most of it. Y'all didn't need to see me stitching. I'm just stitching up the last few holes here. And as I do that, I'll explain to you that when you're stitching, stitch the same way. And what I mean by that is if you start off on one side and go in another side, do that all the way down. And the reason is your stitches will lay the same if you do it that way. Stitching is one of the very few things that is your tooling will catch people's eye. Stitching and finish work will be the next things that people see. You could have the best tooling and your construction could be the best in the world, but if your stitching was off because for whatever reason you don't stitch very well, or you don't like it, or whatever, it's one of them situations where it could be the best in the world, you're still not going to have anybody who wants to do it. So if you notice in here, what I'm doing is I'm going from the left side to the right side to start off with, okay? And this is actually the very last stitch right here. I go in and through, and then I pull, but I don't pull super tight, but I pull snug. I go with the right side over the left, through, and I pull a little snug. Now, since this is my last one, see how I started off with a couple of straight stitches on this type of branding stitch that we do like on quivers, or we're doing on this. This is going to be a koozie for, you know, a Coke can, a beer can, whatever you want to put in it. Anytime you're doing this, you always start and end with a couple of simple straight loops back around. And the reason you do that is that's just to reinforce it. It's already a pretty good tight thing anyway, but it's just to help reinforce it that much more. Now, you see that I went through it, but you notice how my threads are on the outside. If you look over here on this side that I'd done earlier, you see it, but you don't see no knot or nothing on the outside. We're going to finish the knot on the inside. And the way that you do that is you go back across one more time and in. But this time you only go through one side. You don't come back out the other side. All right. Now, once you get inside, what we're going to do is a plain square knot. That's a granny knot, overhand knot. You'll hear a lot of folks call it different things. We're going to do just one. Okay, let me get my needle stick here where I can get to them. We're going to do one square knot first, okay? And that's just a square knot is just taking the strings, crossing them over, and going under once, okay? And that way, if y'all know it by another name, you'll know what I'm meaning by square knot there, okay? Because I never went in the military. I never went in the Navy, so I don't know nothing about pure knots and stuff. All right, after you've done it that first time, now we're going to do what's called a surgeon's knot, whereas you go over and under once, over and under a second time. Now, with this particular knot, you have to work it down very slowly, because this particular knot will build up a lot of heat in the thread as you're pulling it down to tighten it, okay? When it builds up enough heat, it will actually cause it to break the thread if you're not careful. The only threads I have found that will not break when I'm doing a surgeon's knot on it is actually Teflon. Or not Teflon, but Kydex. Teflon. Hell, I can't remember. It's the thread that Kevlar. I got it straight. It took me a second, but it took me a minute to get there, but I got it. All right. Now, by doing that, we left the knot on the inside. Now, what you do afterwards is you take your finishing hammer and you just lightly tap on it, okay, from the inside. And what this allows you to do is to set that knot, okay? It sets that knot down there nice and tight. And it just gives it an overall finished look, all right? So, and when you're done, you can see in there, see that knot disappeared. All right? Now that allows you, now we have a koozie, whatever you want to call it, done up. And didn't take that long. But people, that's how you do your stitching, how you start it out. Make sure, notice how this looks pretty much even all the way down. Make sure if you start off one direction and then come across with your second stitch, that you come back over again. You always want to go the same first stitch every single time, okay? So, hey, I hope this helps. It wasn't a very long video, about 6 minutes, 7 minutes. So I hope this helps some of you beginning leather workers. If y'all have any questions or if y'all want to see some more content from me, just let me know. If you got some more some more questions, just let me know. Always here to help anybody out on this much as they possibly can. Sorry, I'm very much about putting my stuff back up when I'm done using it, just so it doesn't get in the way, because I don't have but just a normal desk here to work on. And if I leave stuff out, it gets disorganized very quickly. So, y'all, I'm going to tell y'all to have a blessed day. I know I have. It's another great day here on Windmill Farm. And as always, be safe.